just that moment walking out, again, you've seen it in movies, you've seen it in documentaries, you've seen it as a fan, but seeing it from that angle, knowing again, like everybody's waiting for you. Everybody just saw you on that Jumbotron. And now and again, going back to the wrestling component, I kind of, all like jokes aside, I kind of told myself, pretend this is the Royal Rumble. Pretend like your number, they just 3, 2, 1, who's coming down? And here you come. And oh my goodness.
Started as a kid with a team to believe in. Every win and loss left my heart still beating. Year after year through the rain and the sun, learning that faith is what makes us strong.
The kick is up, and the kick is good afternoon, and welcome back to the Super Fan Diaries. I'm your host, J.R. Greene, recording from our studios on Broadway in downtown Nash Vegas, bringing you the biggest sports, the biggest moments, and the biggest fans, celebrating passionate sports figures and their unique stories. Yes, legends. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share your own game day traditions or stories online. Today's story isn't just about basketball. It's about service, second chances, and how a single night on the parquet floor changed a life forever. Before the podcast, before the Celtics spotlight, there was a military child born in Berlin, Germany, while the wall still stood, who would move 29 times. Let me repeat this, 29 times before finding where he is. An Air Force veteran, elementary school teacher, a dad, a creator. Get ready for one of the most thoughtful voices in sports fandom. Mr. Matt, or should I say his celebrity name, Rick Romone. Welcome to the show.
Ooh, thank you, sir. That was quite an introduction. I appreciate that. You know what? Let's go by Rick tonight. I appreciate that so much.
Ricky, definitely we're going by Rick. And I mean, right before we jump in, though, anytime we have the opportunity and honor to have someone who has served our country, especially your family, I just wanted to pause and thank you for your service, your family service. Just for all these people listening to the show right now, we would not be having fun listening to this if you didn't do what you did, and your family as well. So thank you.
Hey, thank you for your support, sir. And again, thank you for this opportunity to be here. I truly appreciate it.
We love it. All right, let's jump in. Tell us, who is Rick Romone?
Ooh, well, I mean, if you want the actual breakdown of the name, it comes from my 3 favorite wrestlers of all time, which would be Ric Flair, Randy Savage, and Razor Ramon. And when I was creating this character, I just felt like I needed to really personify that flamboyance and ridiculousness, as well as colors and being dressed up. Sir, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about looking at your lovely attire. So with that said, I needed to go and shoot for the stars. And so that's the goal. And here we are with Rick Romone. So
I love it. I love it. So how does the Air Force, teaching, fatherhood, and Celtics fandom all fit into one life?
Oh, Lord. I mean, to be quite honest, the military and the Air Force, that is what opened the door for everything else. If I don't join the Air Force, none of those things that you just said afterwards occur. So it was, again, just learning that maybe it's time to do something that's bigger than myself. Again, I'm a 3rd generation service member, but that was not by design. In my family, that was not something that was stressed or pressed upon us. It was just, if you so choose it, then by all means, we'll help you along your way. And if you don't, that's okay too. But for me, it was, I kind of, ran out of options. I tried moving down to Florida in my early 20s. I was bartending, I was doing all that. And that road ran out. And so I realized it was time to grow up. And so I joined the military. And by doing so, again, as I said, it allowed for me to put myself through college. It taught me to become a man, among other things. And it showed me what it takes to be a part of something bigger than yourself and how to be successful.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, let's jumping back to what you just mentioned, you're a 3rd generation veteran, which is amazing. And, immediately what at least I think about is I go right back to the film Forrest Gump and Lieutenant Dan with his parents and everyone else. I feel like that is you living out this dream of following in the footsteps and potentially your children as well. So it's a wonderful thing, but immediately that popped into my head. So jumping to 29. 29 different cities around the world. Did that make it harder to belong or easier to adapt?
It's both. It's a double-edged sword. I've been thinking, we've been dipping into that recently in therapy. And again, it's just one of those things where Does it allow for you to be able to pick up and go and be adaptable and move different places and meet different people? Absolutely, 110%. But at the same time, does it allow for you to put down roots and make friends and relationships with people that are going to last more than a couple of years? Not at all. So it's kind of learning how to take the give and the get, or the give and the take, that comes with it. But again, I think that as far as, when it's all said and done, we all write our books. That is our lives. There'll be a lot of chapters in mine, just
Wow.
just based on addresses alone. So
Yeah, you got 29 chapters immediately. So, I mean, just thinking about these 29, I mean, I'm sure listeners want to know, of all the 29 cities, because, hey, just as a unique fact, not many people on the planet of Earth ever even get to visit more, I believe, than like 7 or 8 cities in their whole lifetime. Because as you know, a majority of the United States has never been out of the United States.
Yep.
You know that by just looking at the number of passports that are issued. So you've been to 29. How many of those 29 were in another country?
Oh, geez. I mean, now that's where it gets a little tricky, because I don't know what you would constitute as a move. So, say for example, when I deployed, I just say that was one move. But if you
I mean,
really
you're there
break
for
that
multiple
down,
months.
so I mean, like I said, I was born in Berlin. I believe we lived in an apartment complex and maybe on a base. So bounced around there for a little bit. So that was Berlin. And then as far as other countries, I was stationed in Qatar when I first got overseas.
Yep.
Then we went to Iraq. Then we came back to Qatar. Then I went to Jordan, came back, bounced around to Kuwait a couple of times. So, I mean, again, even if you just call it like an overnight in a country, but yeah, I mean, bounced around and been to a bunch of them. And then as far as stateside, it'd probably be easier to tell you the states I haven't been to. But again, it's very fun to get out there and travel the country, because again, like you said, some people never get to leave that little fishbowl that they live in. And when you get to get out into different parts of the world and see how people live, it allows for you to understand the differences between us, but also kind of open up your heart to that same, those same differences. Because again, when you leave this country and come back, you recognize that we are all part of the same team, and that, we need to pull together and be one. And sometimes we're not doing a good job of that. So leaving and coming back gave me that perspective.
Well, it's one of these things where I can 100% relate that, I've had an opportunity in my past careers to be able to travel the world. And, I was not in the military, but, I was in corporate America. So sometimes corporate America can be lined up like it. And I have to say that the number of countries I've visited, no matter where I've been, no matter what I've done, when I come back to the U.S., I begin to have a humble pie of just how easy, how remarkably, I'll just say, just going to the grocery store, just finding what you need. It's all here. I mean, the only negative is we drive too much. I mean, not to throw it out there, but I do wish we had trains like the Europeans do. I mean, you lived in Berlin. You can go anywhere you want. It's just so easy with a train. But here, we do have to drive a lot. So, but just for now. I mean, with Tesla coming around with these electric cars, my wife and I were debating the other day and saying, honey, if we get this Tesla thing, I can literally just sit on my computer for 30 minutes and work while it just drives me to the office.
Listen, if they start selling flying squirrel suits, I'm all in, because that would get me to work a lot quicker. I can tell you that much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, jumping into, by the way, what states have you not been to? I'm just curious, because I've only
the West
2.
Coast. Let's just say the West Coast. That's about it. But
Okay.
Anywhere from about Texas and Nevada over. Yeah.
Well, I had a job that was working with rural healthcare, and I ended up now to this day, I'm now 51. I've wanted to travel to more states. There's only 2 left, Delaware. And I don't know what you do in Delaware and Wyoming. That's it. I have 2 states, Delaware and Wyoming. So one of these days I'm going to knock them both out, because I got to be able to say I've been to all 50. I wanted to go to all 50 before I turned 50. I missed it. Life. It's called children. They are the priority. You're not just going to have time to go fly off to Wyoming and Delaware.
You're not wrong, sir. Not wrong at all.
Well, speaking of life-changing moments and, going to that world, you once, and this is more the personal side, Rick, but you once, community college dropout. You had a D, in terms of D-level GPA. You later ended up earning a master's in education. What changed inside of you, and what helped make this wonderful change occur? Because it's a wonderful, what I'll call, experience you've had. Now, obviously very difficult, but coming out on the beautiful end.
The athlete in me is going to sound like a jerk when I say this, but think of Michael Jordan. So losing and spite. Those were the 2 main motivators. So again, when you end up with a D-minus GPA and have to drop out of community college, and you violate academic and financial probation, and then you have family members that remind you of it, it gives you time to think. And also you dropped out because you lost your license too, because they changed the laws and you just got your tickets when you were under 18. So now
Right.
you're just in a world of hurt, putting your world together. You just graduate high school and you might be one of the biggest losers that you know. So it was just one of those things where it just taking those losses and not taking my ball and going home, so to speak, like wanting to come back and get my revenge, wanting to come back and putting in that work and that time and that effort. And I knew I could do it. I had gotten a chance. They didn't even want me to come back to school. They were like, "Get the freak out of here, kid." But I kind of explained to them what I'd been doing and where I had been since I had left. And so the woman walked me up to the dean's office and she said, "Just tell her what you told me." And so I did. And the dean said, "Look, you got one shot, kid. And if you blow this," she said, "you're not coming
You're
back.
done.
Just look me in the eye. This is for real. Like, you're no joke." And so that first semester, I was able to get all B's, but I couldn't. I had to put myself through school, but I couldn't afford the books. And so when I
Oh,
got all
wow.
B's and I couldn't afford books, I was like, "All right, I think I could do this."
Yeah.
And from there on in, it was just, okay, level up, get the grades, transfer, boom, get this degree, get that degree, and I put myself through school, and that's one of the things that I'm always proud of. But I did that because of the Air Force. So
Yep.
again, one of the things where the Air Force opened those doors, I just was able to go through them, luckily.
By the way, in the Air Force, what was your role in the Air Force? Because I know a lot of people hear the word Air Force and they immediately think you're like Tom Cruise. By the way, I understand that's in the Navy, but they always think you're flying planes.
Yes, they always think I'm flying and I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I start to mess with people now that when they ask me, I tell them I fly all the planes. It'd be easier to tell,
It's
what
just easier to
weapons
end
that
the question. Yes,
right?
I've been a pilot. Moving on.
But no, my job, I mean, they changed the job so many times. So I'm just going to say the word on the streets, we were the cable dogs. So
Oh, I
essentially, we
love
were
it.
we were kind of like Ninja Turtles and construction workers at the same time. We wore green. We hung out in the sewers. I hung out with my buddies. But basically, we made it so people could communicate. So we would
Wow.
run, copper wire or fiber optic cables underground from buildings that maybe stretch from miles across.
Wow.
But we got to get this building operational so we can start landing helicopters or get this air traffic control tower going. So I now know a lot of the jobs that I was on 10 years ago must have been important because those are all the ones that seem to get attacked when things are going on. So I was like, oh, okay,
Oh, gosh.
but again, the ability to communicate, so to speak.
Yep.
So that was essentially what I did. And sometimes it meant climbing up 200-foot
Yeah.
towers. And sometimes it meant pumping out a sewer with
Yep.
10 feet of water and then getting in there and doing it all depended on the day. So it was adventurous to say the least.
Oh man, that's amazing. And you just mentioned the word communication. All right.
Yep.
So in terms of pivoting on this amazing work, you were a cable guy. You're
Yep.
one of the cable dudes. And then all of a sudden, communication, you didn't plan to become a creator. A friend of yours, basically in deployment, just asked you to podcast about basketball and gave you this outlet. So tell us about how did that all happen? Like, this is really a cool, what I'll call pivot that you've made.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was on that deployment, we were the Massachusetts National Guard unit is always on a 2-year rotation with other states. So in our case, it was Philly and Maine. And so I have no idea how or why I must got picked out of a hat, but I and two other gentlemen were each selected, one from each unit, to be part of this 3-man mobile team that would deploy and go wherever each of those units were, they needed us. So in my case, at the beginning, the Massachusetts unit needed us, and so the three of us went along with the Massachusetts unit to Iraq. When we came back, the Philly unit needed us out in Jordan, and so then we were sent out there to work with them. And so one of my buddies, Scott Trago, who was from the Philly unit, was just a good guy, someone that and thank God too, because again,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long 7 months if you guys don't get along, that's for sure. But he was 6'6", and so playing basketball was good because it helped me get
Oh,
my
wow.
floater up a little bit. And
Yes.
but so we stay, and again, I love the guy. He's one of those guys that you just, if you've never done something like that and been in another country with somebody waiting, and this poor guy, mind you, I'm sitting here trying to do the Celtics surprise, and I'm like worried about me. This guy's wife is pregnant and literally like having his kid, and he's trying to hop on planes, and they're like, sorry, no plane today. And he's like, but there goes one right there. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So it was just like one of those things that we just bonded over the silliest, dumbest stuff. And so we stayed in touch after all these years, and just out of the blue, for no reason at all, right at a time in my life when I needed it, he texted me and said, hey, I got a cousin who's been doing a football podcast and he's looking to jump in to do basketball. You have any interest?
Wow.
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, why not?
Let's
So
go.
it was a good outlet because I had been doing stand-up comedy for about a year and a half, and my
Oh, wow.
ego just couldn't handle it anymore. I was too tired of going to bed at night, crying myself to sleep because nobody thought I was funny. So,
I think you're funny. I'm right here,
like,
Rick Romone. I'm,
thank
I'm
you,
thinking you're
sir.
funny.
My ego thanks you. Okay, but so anyways, but it was a nice opportunity too because it didn't require traveling. To be quite honest, that was one of the nicest things about it. Was it just was the ability I could do this for an hour and then I can be right here a minute later and get some things done. So, it was a great pivot, and then the Celtics
Boom.
winning the championship helped a lot. So that was nice.
Oh, no. Yeah, we're going to get to that just here in a little bit. There's no doubt. All right. Well, next question in terms of the setup here is, while you really can't compare the military and corporate positions, but the background I told you before is I had a corporate role, but I worked for Procter & Gamble for 7 years, and they really run the organization very similar. In fact, they have a lot of veterans that work for Procter & Gamble. And the one thing about it is you learn about having resources, you learn about swim lanes, you learn about all these details on how to run a very, very successful global operation.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I ended up leaving Procter & Gamble, and I left corporate America. And I have to tell you, it was tough to readapt to what I'll call a more improv world rather than a syndicated one. And, if you think through all that piece of it, I had to ultimately find my way, which took a lot of time. So for you, did having a space without rules, which is what you do when you leave the military almost, feel like oxygen after military and like an education structure, or was it really difficult?
Funny you say it's a little double-edged sword again, but it was different for me because I was in the National Guard. So what that essentially allowed for me to do was it was the same as being a reservist, but
Yep.
again, and I don't do politics, so I'm a tiptoe around all
Yeah.
this. But as you
Yeah.
can see,
No, we don't do that on this
well,
show.
there, yeah, thank
We
God.
talk about
When
sports,
they-
baby. Sports.
but sometimes when things happen in a state, they activate the National Guard.
Yep.
And so, being in the National Guard, it was the same as a reservist, just different activations, different times. But it was basically 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So I was 1 foot
Okay.
Joe civilian, and I was 1 foot, GI Joe. And so I had already been working in schools. I had already been in school for myself. I'd been doing all those things in line with the military. So when the military stopped, it just became one less thing for me to have to worry about.
Yep.
And that's really that lucky for me, you know what I mean? But sometimes
Yeah.
I understand where they're, it's just like the pro sports, where a lot of guys don't prepare for that next phase. And sometimes that next phase comes quicker than you think, maybe because of injury. Something
Yep.
as simple as that. You might be medically retired, just like a football player or a basketball player. So I had already kind of had my path picked out. So as soon as I got out of the military, I was already on to the next thing. So that was really helpful.
Now, it feels like podcasting didn't add something new. It unlocked something that was already there. And it's now time for us to take a quick break, and we'll be right back, y'all.
Started as a kid with a team to believe in. Every win and loss left my heart still beating.
Welcome back. We're here with Triple R, Rick R. Romone, a massive Celtics fan who moved 29 times. And I don't think we're ever going to have a guest again that has moved 29 times in their lifetime, but ultimately finding his team, the Celtics. And now we step into the moment that changed everything. The night the Celtics brought a soldier home. Take us onto that evening. Take us to that event. What did it feel like to surprise your family on national television after deployment?
I mean, it was bonkers. It was a whirlwind, to say the least. And again, it was a combination of just luck and many other variables. I mean, why me? Why am I so lucky to be able to have this opportunity? But also, like I said, I'm sitting here worried about, or I got a buddy worried about, the birth of his child. But meanwhile, I'm a little worried about what the weather's going to be like in New England in a couple of days, and if I'm going to be able to catch these connecting flights, and whatnot. So as I was able to make my way to the States, I had a buddy who lived in downtown Boston at the time. So I just kind of hid out in Boston for a couple of days and didn't let anybody know I was home because I just had a feeling someone.
Oh my gosh. I can't imagine how hard that was to be in the mainland. And so did the Celtics reach out to you and let you know they're going to be doing this event for you, or?
No.
Okay.
This was, I got to be honest. This was the exact way this went down was I was in my tent in Jordan. And again, just as a brief background of that, so where I lived in my little tent in Jordan was a big giant tent, maybe full of, I'd say, about 20 bunk beds or whatever. But it was filled with guys that were, it was guys, but it was filled with guys of all different professions and jobs that worked all different shifts. And so the lights were out in the tent at all times, 24/7. And as soon as you went in that tent, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face. So I spent a lot of time in the dark because you were either at work or you were in your tent. That was it. There was no other things to do. So I was kind of sitting there in the dark, and I was watching some ESPN videos, and I saw a gentleman who was playing basketball for Notre Dame, and his brother, who was serving, had just came home and surprised him. And I thought, wow, that'd be really cool if I could pull something off like that. But like again, the question of why me, or how could I pull that off? I started thinking about it, and I'm like, it would be interesting to come from me, but it might sound a little better if it came from one of my students. And I had a student who had actually been helping me with my dogs at the time.
Yeah.
And at the time, the student was in 7th grade, but he was like, 12 going on 42. And I won't be surprised if this guy's a senator or something one day, just with the way.
And one day he'll be listening to this show too. He's going to hear it.
Well, funny you say that, because he actually went to Syracuse for broadcasting. So if he doesn't end up watching this, I'm going to be a little upset with. But anyway, so I had him. I said, hey, here's an idea. And again, I don't know how, but LinkedIn had everybody's emails or something like that. And I'm like, you got really all the people from the Celtics on here, and you can just contact them like that. Wow. So I just said, hey, let's take a shot. I copy and pasted all the emails, sent it off to him. And I said, hey, just send an email and see what happens. Well, he emailed the right guy. And lo and behold, it just so happened that January was when the Celtics were planning to do their Seats for Soldiers night, which made no sense, because they normally would do it in November when they have Veterans Day. But for this reason, they were looking to do it in late January. And it also happened to be a nationally televised game on TNT. So all these weird things started falling in line. And it just, and then the funniest part about it is that the night of the event, or the day before the event, gentleman who was helping set it up asked, the student, hey, would you like to come to the game? You helped set this up. And he said, sure, I just need to ask my mom and dad. I have a basketball game on Saturday. How old are you? Oh, I'm 12. He's like, what? I've been talking to a kid this whole time? So just the professionalism that he had all throughout was astonishing. And so, yeah, again, this all came to fruition because of a student.
Wow, a 12-year-old. Let's just back up from a 6th grader, okay? This is a 12-year-old that is putting this all together. I mean, unbelievably.
Ryan Horgan. Yep. Shout out to Ryan Horgan.
Wow, Ryan.
And
good
again,
for you.
He set it up, and without him, none of this happens. So that's one thing I always stress to my students as a teacher. I try to tell them all the time. You guys don't realize how powerful you really, truly are. I show them that video, and I go, hey, you know how that happened? A student, one of you. I'm like, so again, you have so much power.
Yep.
Use it.
All right. Well, the next thing that happened is he put it together, and then the Celtics reached out to you, and then began to organize it. It's still, the part that I just can't imagine being in Boston for 48 hours and not being able to tell my mom that I'm in town.
Yeah. And now looking back, I'm really lucky I didn't give one of my parents a heart attack on the court. So that's probably not the best idea.
I mean, that's the only reason I could say this for all the folks listening or watching this on YouTube. We'll have the clip up on Rick Romone's site within our page on the fan wall at superfandiaries.com. But when you take a look at Rick Romone's video of him coming back from deployment in Jordan, his mother is touched at a level that is so strong that the announcer begins to cry as the video and as the event is going on. So, I mean, that just shows you the amount of power. And that's why I'm sitting here just in awe that you were able to hold back for a couple of days before going out on that field, the court, the parquet court, to make that happen. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, well, I will say flying next to, bombs and missiles and whatnot, like you're a package from Amazon, that helps kind of learn how to cool your nerves over time. But yeah, I felt like I was jumping out of my skin. And you can even see in one of the interviews, they kind of like have the camera, at a downward shot, and you just see me take this big, deep breath, and I'm kind of like, ooh, boy, here we go. And all I kept thinking in my head was, don't cry and don't trip. And then I would say about 3 steps into it, somebody stepped in my way, and I was like, oh, no, you don't. Like, But
all right. Well, just, besides all those pieces, let's touch base on one of the most famous floors in the world. And it's called the Celtics parquet floor. And I hope that I pronounced that correctly, because I'm bad at pronouncing things. All right. The parquet floor. What was it like just standing on that court, walking toward the center of the court with arguably probably millions of people watching this segment, on TNT, but also the 30,000 people there live? What is the feeling, and what is it like? I mean, we've all seen the Celtics floor. I mean, Larry Bird, come on.
Yep. I mean, magical, I think, is the only word you can really use to describe it. I know if you could put it in a bottle and sell it, we'd all be rich. But just that moment, walking out, again, you've seen it in movies, you've seen it in documentaries, you've seen it as a fan, but seeing it from that angle, knowing, again, like everybody's waiting for you Everybody
Yep.
just saw you on that jumbotron, and now and again, going back to the wrestling component, I kind of,
Yeah.
all like jokes aside, I kind of told myself, pretend this is the Royal Rumble. Pretend like your number, they just 3, 2, 1, who's coming down, and here you come, and oh my goodness. So
Gosh.
when I came down, I wanted to have that look and persona, but just I'm amazed I even made it because I was so lost in the moment of just kind of looking around and kind of taking it all in, and then all of a sudden, oh, hey, by the way, there's the people I haven't seen for 7, 8, 9 months.
Yeah.
And my brother I hadn't seen. So my brother and I hadn't seen each other the longest because my brother had just graduated from high school and joined the army himself. So he had
Okay.
left 2 months before, a month before I left. So we were both gone for service for various reasons. So that's why he came running out to me. And my goal was, I had this whole thing planned when I got to the court, but my
Yeah.
family intercepted me and started running at me. And so you see, we kind of did
Oh,
our
you
own thing
bet.
in the corner.
You know what? The best laid plans are all fine until you get punched in the face, like Mike Tyson used to say. So, I mean, when you step on a court like that, in that moment, in that activity with those lights, that's why practice is so important. And I just respect so many people that either perform or athletes because the level of nerve and the fear of being in front of people is real. Now, obviously, if you've experienced what you've experienced with bombs, guns, during deployment, you've been readily trained for the absolute worst type of scenarios. But most of us have not, fortunately, been in that opportunity unless we were privileged enough to have the opportunity to serve our country. So, I mean, wow. All right, a million variables could have happened. I mean, weather. How many planes did you have to take to get there on time? By the way, from Jordan. I mean, how many different cities?
We flew from Qatar to Germany, Germany to Baltimore, Baltimore to New York, New York to Boston.
And all in like one of those hangar planes, right? Like what we see in the movies.
Well, no, they flew us night on the planes back. It was nice. On the way
Okay.
over, I now know again, like I said, what a package feels like because I was on some planes that I was like, I don't even know if this should be in the air right now. So, yeah.
Gosh, it's just
Chitty Chitty
amazing.
Bang Bang Part 3 in the sky. It was like, So again, it was like, would you rather A, get on this plane full of bombs, or B, walk out in front of 30,000 people? I'm like, oh yeah, give me that one. I'll do that all day. That's easy.
All day long, all day long. Although, as you well know, if you go through American culture and psychology, more people would choose to be on the plane with bombs than to walk out in front of 30,000 people. I mean, that's what I think it's the number one phobia of all people on earth is speaking publicly. So good for you to be able to handle that. All right, but I've got to get through this question. So everything went perfect. You went to those 5 different flights. The weather, it worked out. You got to Boston early. You're able to take a deep breath. How did that shape your faith and gratitude?
So the one thing that I did get to do that I wanted to do, and I didn't know if anybody had caught it, but ESPN did, which was I'd been really struggling for years to push through professionally because there was this one test that I was unable to pass, and if I wasn't able to pass this one test, it kept me from being able to be a professional educator, and it really gummed up a lot of things for years. And I remember after I finally passed that test, I watched the 2008 Celtics and I watched KG
Yeah.
repeatedly. Anything is possible. And I cried that night because I was so happy to finally get up that mountain. And so when I did what I did at the Celtics game, I thought, man, if ever there was a chance, now was it. And so I yelled out anything is possible. And a couple days later, a cousin sent me a snapshot that ESPN had that said, this is why we love sports. And they put me side by side with KG.
Oh,
So to answer your question,
I love it.
it really, again, my faith had always been there. I've always believed in God, and deploying really strengthened it, honestly, because I think of some of the countries I went to, which are, part of this whole beginning and whatnot. But it just showed me that anything is possible. And if you really put your mind to it, and if you really try hard, and if you do a lot of good along the way, then good things can happen. And I think that happened because, again, leading up to my deployment, I'd been doing a bunch of community service projects and things like that with my students. And it wasn't something that I was out like advertising to the world, but it was just something like watching these guys raise money for, Make-A-Wish and Boston Children's and things like that. I think by generating that positive currency and energy in life, that is why I was blessed with that Celtics opportunity. That's the only explanation I have. So,
Well, I mean, you think about it after that night. I think some of the stories I've read and heard about you is you made it a mission to make sure to thank Brian Scalabrine, with your students, Isaiah Thomas with the coin, TNT crew. What made that important to you to go out and thank everyone for doing that?
Because they all took the time to give me and my family that moment, and again, it's an awesome moment. But again, why us? Why me? There's so many other people and things out there that deserve the spotlight. But again, if this gives everybody an opportunity to smile and feel good, then give us that spotlight, and I'll gladly take it. So I wanted to again just thank them for again acknowledging us and taking time out of their day. And so Brian Scalabrine visited my class numerous times during COVID. And again, Isaiah Thomas, again, that night he dropped 40 something. That was when he was the king of the fourth. He was, in the
Yep.
MVP race. And again, he was shouting out my family. And again, then we saw what happened shortly thereafter with his family and the tragedies that occurred. And so I felt like there was just this bond there where it was like, man, this poor guy. Like I feel like my family talked about him afterwards as though he was one of my friends that used to come over for dinner in high school. Like, how's Isaiah doing? How's he doing? He's like, he's doing all right, or hey, he's got some stuff going on, and they're like, you know what, you should reach out to him. And I'm like, trust me, I would love to. And so I made it my mission for about 8 years just to again say thank you. And I had a coin from deployment that I had held on to, and so I had brought a picture of me waving to the crowd as the one item to get signed. And when he went to sign it, you could see he like, wait a minute, I remember, and I said, I've been waiting a long time to run into you. And hey, so
That's so
that was
cool.
really cool. And again, just kind of like one by one, like having this little list in a good way,
That's great. That's a good list to be on. That's not a
right,
shady
and
list.
just
That's a good
showing
list.
gratitude and appreciation. But the Charles Barkley and the TNT crew, I mean, again, I grew up watching these guys. This is what I lived for, basketball. So to be on that show and them acknowledging my mom and whatnot, I was like, all right, how can I thank them? So getting on the steam room one day, I'm at home and hey, you want to ask Chuck a question? Here's the number. I'm like, oh, okay. Hello. So instead of a question, it was again just saying thank you. And so I have a couple more people on that list, but the list
You're
is
gonna
getting
nail 'em.
little. So
You're going to nail them. All right. I will say this. This sounds like a moment you experienced and more like a gift. You've been unpacking ever since. So it's beautiful to hear. All right. We're going to jump into the next part. You've been open. The divorce and fatherhood changed everything. Did sports become a kind of rebuilding?
I had to go back to old tools and skill sets that I learned as an athlete. Don't give up. It's not over. You definitely took a beating. What do you need to do to not take that beating next time or take that loss? Or if you lost and it was just by a little bit, what could we have done different for next time? So again, once the athlete in me carried over and started helping out just the regular old Matt, the dad, the hurting father, things started to get better. And again, even as silly and dumb as it sounds, but again, like getting back in the weight room and doing those things where it's just like, you know what I mean? Taking the time, taking an hour to get to know yourself a little better, close out the outside world. You know what I mean? Maybe listen to the Bible, maybe listen to some music, maybe don't listen to anything at all and suss out those thoughts just for a little bit, because sometimes that's the number one thing that's plaguing us. And so, yeah, I wouldn't wish the last couple years on my worst enemy, but also I'm glad that I know it bent me, but it did not break me.
Well, you and Topher, speaking of this, you started weekly dude therapy.
Yep.
How much did those conversations save you?
I mean, I wouldn't be literally, figuratively, all the other euphemism. I would not be here talking to you right now if I wasn't doing that, because every week Topher and I would just chat and talk. And I know therapy when I see it. I've been in it for years. And that's what I wanted to go to school before I became a teacher. So that's what we were doing. But we were helping each other with our real life problems that we couldn't talk about on camera like this. When you get on camera like this, you have to put on a show and a persona, and you can't let people see feelings. Feelings are bad sometimes. And so being able to just be yourself off camera, that was one thing. It was like we stopped, basketball season ended, and it was like, well, now what? And so from that came, listen, if we ever get the opportunity to do something creatively, let's do it. But in the meantime, let's just keep doing what we're doing and see where it takes us. And so fast forward into summer of 2025, and all of a sudden, here comes this opportunity. And ever since then, it's just been go, go, go. And it's been great because it's an opportunity to, again, get out your dreams, live a creative lifestyle, and allocate my energy towards positive resources rather than the things that sometimes divorce can propel people towards. So
Well, first off, thank you for sharing. One of the biggest things in the world today is seeking therapy. I think mental health is one topic that the stigma, it's disappearing. And, as everybody knows, I was raised by a psychiatrist. So I'm able to tell people I've had 51 years of psychiatric, treatment through a father. From the real point of view of it is more people, and those listening on the show today, take the time for yourself. Mental health is real. It will make you better. It will make you a happier person. I'm speaking to a guest right now that has been through this. So what I'll call right through the front lens. So thank you very much, Rick, for sharing all that information. All right. What did you learn about yourself in that season that you couldn't have learned any other way?
God's there. Just sometimes get out of yourself. You're human and you're flawed. You don't know what you don't know. So just try to push ahead as best you can. But, there's a saying sometimes in the military where it's, can you walk or do I have to carry you? And so, I was able to walk, and I'm lucky in that regard in a lot of ways. And again, I say that wholeheartedly. Think of just from the component of take the Celtics part out of it. I got to come home from deployment. I got to come home from deployment in one piece. I got to come home in one piece with the ability to then work on things that maybe need to be worked on in my mind and not let them drag me down. So I am very lucky in that regard. And so again, just recognizing how lucky I am, recognizing the things that I do have, and and again, just using my son as my North Star. He's just the perfect, happy, good little dude. So as long as I'm just doing what's good for him, I'll be good.
Beautiful. How old is your son?
He's 4.
Oh, that's just such a sweet age. But I will say that, 4-year-olds, I like to tell all my friends that because I think I've got like 15 nieces and nephews because my wife came from a very large family and they produced a beautiful family. And I will tell you this though, I can't handle being under the 6. I like them that 6 and over. And then one psychologist I actually was speaking to related to family management and treating a lot of, in terms of our pediatric programs. And they've even said it, a lot of people mentally, when you go with in-laws and other family, you like to be with children that are the minimum age of your family. So with my child being a 12-year-old, now when I go to like families, psychologically, I really only want to be around families that have like 11-year-olds and up. So when they go lower, what I'll call your ability to manage it, unless obviously everyone says, oh, I love being around these babies. And it's true because they're adorable. But the reality is psychologically, you like being around children that at the minimum age you are until probably when they all go to college. And then you're left, empty nester. And then you're like, oh my God, I need my kids back. So right now are in the fun part.
I'll say I am very lucky because I always wanted a son. And so then having a son, I never pushed anything upon him. But just the ability for him, so I could look over and he could be playing with his Ninja Turtle toys.
Oh,
and that just melts my heart. And so when it's Daddy, do you want to come play with me? It's like, absolutely. And you know what? I will buy you all the Ninja Turtle toys because Daddy's going to play with them when you go to bed. And that's how that works. Adulthood.
That's like Legos. That's why Legos are so genius because when we buy Legos for the kids, for everybody listening, you all do the same thing. I start to build the Legos because I'm like, oh, they're so cool. It's like a comic book, package. And I'm just like, oh, I want to help build that car. That's so cool.
Yep. So we're speaking the same language.
I love it. At some point, basketball stopped being just a game and became a place to heal. So now sit back, relax, and we'll be right back after these ads.
Started as a kid with a team to believe in. Every win and loss left my heart still beating.
Welcome back. We're still here with Rick R. Romone. Now we're going to move from story to mission. What are you building today and who is it for?
Ooh, good question. Well, I have 2 things going on right now. Obviously, one led me to you, which is Bacon Shake Worldwide.
Bacon Shake.
So, Bacon Shake Worldwide. So again, this came from my weekly talks with Topher. It also came from the fact that we used to always say shake and bake from, Talladega Nights. And
I knew you were going to say that's where I picked it. I was like, this is an homage to Talladega Nights.
And Step Brothers, because you got
it's
Worldwide.
in both. It's in both. You're right. Step Brothers had that one.
See? So again, a little Bacon Shake Worldwide. And again, it's just it's allowing us an opportunity for our guys that have been working with us that have just said, hey, I'd love to do a show about Kentucky. Great, let's do it. Hey, I want to do a show about that. Great, let's do it. But it's also allowed for us to be able to go like kind of big game hunting. And so guys like Justin Fiorillo and No Shirt Dom and people like that we've been able to bring them under our umbrella and into the fold. And again, our only criteria is you got to be ambitious and you got to be selfless. But the roster of people that we're building it's amazing. And again, I'm having fun. I'm not here, honestly, I sound crazy to most people. I'm not here to make money. I'm not here to be famous. I'm doing this to have fun. I'm doing this to keep me out of trouble. Like,
I
so
love it.
if I could just, if this is as far as it goes for the rest of my life, I'm okay with that. I really am.
Now, I think at the end of the day, beautiful. I don't think you could say it any better than that. You only have two rules: selflessness and ambitious. Why those two?
Because I can't be on a team where I mean, again, like being the point guard most of my life or playing quarterback and flag football, I can't listen to people. Oh, it was open. Everybody's always open. I know. I hear you. I get it. I'm saying, but I understand the mantra of team. I understand the mantra of getting everybody involved. So if I hear people complain, oh, I want to have a show about this. Great, man, go make it. Nobody's stopping you. You can go do that right now. But if you want us to do it and make it and produce it and put it out and do all that for free, mind you, well, then get at the back of the line, because there's a whole bunch of people that want some stuff for free. You know what I mean? But the people that are like, how can I help? You're like, I love you. I'm like, yes, you're the best. You don't have to do anything right now. But when I need you, I know I can call on you because you are selfless. And then the ambitiousness, I just love these people. Like, again, we're all of our followers that we have under Bacon Shake. I love every single one of those people. I would give them all a hug and buy them a freaking dinner if I could. You know why? Because I know every single one of them is an authentic follower. They're not a bot. They're not some Joe Schmo from Idaho. They are real people. So again, that
and not
ability
AI. They're not AI chatbots.
No, not allowed. Not allowed. So again, the ambitiousness, seeing how, again, where it's like, man, I'm tied up. I got my son. I got this. I got these things. But then Justin Fiorillo was out there on Black Friday doing push-ups against Tony Gonzalez because he is ambitious and he wants to get after it and go get it. And so again, I saw Justin from a mile away as someone like, man, that kid really puts in that work. Well, guess what? Look at him on national TV a couple months later. There he is. You know what I mean? So
Boom.
That's what I want. And I just love getting to meet. But again, it's also hilarious. I am good friends with some of these people to the point where I will talk with them. I haven't even met these people in person yet. Some of these people I've known for years. I haven't even met them yet. I talk to them more than my own family. But hey, here we are. So.
No, I love it. At least they're human, though. That's the other
They
benefit.
are
They're
real.
not the AI tools that people are becoming friends with. Now, I don't want to get this wrong, and I want to say it correctly. Marky Cigars told you, get up your network to get up your net worth.
Yes, sir.
How did that become your North Star? And tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, man. So, all right. Yeah. Mark, shout out to Marky Cigars. What a great guy. So, all right. I see on Instagram this thing called PaisanCon. This is May last year. PaisanCon. I'm Italian. Say no more. I'm in. So I start looking at it. It's got Sopranos actors. It's got everybody I love. I'm like, oh yeah, we are going to this. So I got the VIP thing. They had this Sopranos package. You get everybody's autograph, the whole shebang. And three of the actors have Omerta Cigars and Omerta Coffee. And so I am, again, I'm ambitious. I want to follow everybody that they work with. Who do they work with? I'm trying to have tea with their grandma, like Justin Fiorillo. I want to sit down and do that. So Mark Cigars is basically working with these guys. And so I had never met him, and I'd messaged him like months before and just said, hey man, you going to be at this event? And he just said, no, we're not sponsoring it, but appreciate you reaching out. Well, I woke up like, day 2, and he responded back and he's like, hey, I'm going to be there today. Well, that was pretty cool of him. You know what I mean? Like from months ago, he remembered me for that. Okay. So I saw him walking around, and I walked over and introduced myself, and a friendship was born. And again, as I got to know Mark, it's amazing because he literally was a fan of The Sopranos like me, and then just decided he was going to ingratiate himself and start selling cigars with these guys and working with them. And guess what? He does. And so whenever I have a good idea, sometimes I'll call him up and just bounce the idea off him. And because I know he's someone I can trust. And again, he said to me early on in this relationship, he said, you got to get up your network so you can get up your net worth. And it just blew my mind because, again, as I said, I'm not doing this for money. Yeah. If there was money involved, great, cool, awesome. But that's not my North Star. So again, like the networking, the friendships, the people that I've ran into, the acquaintances, the people that I've rekindled, it's been awesome. And so if you're gauging that in worth, I'm a very rich man. So I'm going to keep doing that. And and people like Mark, I get to meet just by being ambitious and sending random messages. And here we are. So, if that's what we did last year, Lord knows what we could get accomplished this year. So
absolutely. Birds with feather do flock together. All right. Celtic Soul. What makes Celtics fans different from every other fan base?
I mean, well, let's see. Number one, we have one of the oldest franchises. Number two, all of our championships are authentic. Lakers, yours aren't. You got some from Minneapolis. Go look it up. That's
I
why you're
love
the
the stab.
Lakers, because of the Great Lakes. Duh, it's not anyways. So, but also we are a franchise that has gone through some serious tragedies. You know what I mean? And not to discount or say other franchises haven't, but like go back and do your homework and Len Bias and Reggie Lewis and some of the other stuff that's happened. It's like, my God, you know what I mean? Paul Pierce getting stabbed and almost dying and things like that. It's like, my goodness, it seems like for, ironically enough, a franchise that's supposed to be so lucky, they had been so snake bitten in a way. But again, I love Boston for a number of reasons, but I think Boston gets a super bum rap. I think, whenever the racism conversation comes up, I'm always like, well, we were the first franchise to have a black coach. We were the first franchise to have a black starting five. Like, yeah, we had our faults just like everybody else, but you know who's trying to fix it? The Boston Celtics. That's who. So again, I just think we're a franchise that we are trying to do what's best, whether it's the right thing or not. We will put all of our eggs in one basket and give them to someone like Bill Russell when the opportunity presents itself instead of running away from it. And so again, I just think that we're a franchise that we embody the American spirit. We've made mistakes, but damn it, give us a chance to make it up, and I guarantee we'll make you proud.
Well said, and I still remember those days watching the Celtics and the Lakers. If you want to go back in time, I remember being in my grandfather's house. You just think through it. America is not a basketball nation without the Celtics. So I think I can 100% agree with you there. All right, drum roll, everybody. We're now headed to the Desert Fan Island. All right, here's how this works, Rick Romone.
Ooh.
You're stranded on a deserted Celtics island. The parquet floor, Lucky the Leprechaun, Banner Breeze. You only get one movie, one musical artist, one stadium food, one beverage, and one person to be with. All right, we'll start at the very beginning. What one movie, as you sit by yourself right now on the parquet floor, are you going to be watching over and over again? One movie.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Easy.
Great answer.
I have to think about that one.
You're already doing that. All right. One musical artist.
Kid Cudi.
All right. Kid Cudi. All right. One stadium food.
I'm going to go with burgers.
All right. Safe burger. One beverage. One beverage.
Water. I ain't getting belly aches.
All right. You get one person. Who's it going to be with? Who's that one person that gets to sit there with you?
Ooh. Does that have to be Celtics or anybody?
No, anybody. Any family member, anybody. Any celebrity you love, anyone, it could be your pastor, anybody. Anyone you'd like to be there with.
All right, I'll tell you who it's going to be because he's one of the last guys on my list. It's going to be Kevin Garnett.
Okay.
It's
All
Kevin
right.
Garnett,
A Celtics
Kevin
legend's
Garnett,
going to be there. Okay.
Yeah, he helped motivate. Again, I mean, he brought us a championship for God's sake, so there's that. But also just the fact that, again, like helping motivate me through those years when who cared? You know what I mean? Like when I wasn't doing cool surprises or deploying or whatever. It was in those moments when I watched those videos and saw that emotion and was like, yep, this is real and it can happen. So, AG, big ticket.
I love it. All right, it's now time for the buzzer beater rapid fire. I'm going to ask you questions. Just say right whatever comes to mind. Number one, most unforgettable Celtics game you've ever seen.
The one I came home and surprised my family.
That's an easy one. I agree. Player you'd bring back in their prime to help you get back to the playoffs.
Isaiah Thomas. Did him dirty. Danny Ainge. Shame.
All right. Best seat in TD Garden.
Courtside. I had that once. Yeah, that's a good living right there.
All right. One Celtics moment that still gives chills.
I got to see Michael Jordan play when he was on the Wizards, and he took the final shot in regulation. He missed, but when that ball was in the air, it was slow motion. That ball, I could see it spinning. Everybody in the crowd froze. That was just one of those burned in my brain moments for forever. So,
all right. We don't want to talk about hate, but who do you hate more, Lakers or Heat?
Oh, Lakers.
All right. Here's we go. We're going to gouge Joe to this fun little new section we started, everybody. Fan level determination. We're trying to figure out for wonderful world of fans and super fans and ultimate fans, how big a fan are you? All right. The first question. How much time in season do you invest per week thinking about the Celtics?
Too much.
That's a good enough answer for me. All right. The number of games you've attended in person per season. Average number.
2.
2 a year. Okay. Now, where do you live, by the way?
Now I live in Worcester. I had now again where I used to live. The town I grew up in is Shirley. There's no excuse because there's a little. It's this small town, but there's a
Yeah.
train that runs from Shirley all the way to TD Garden, and
Okay.
that's the last stop. You get off the train and you're at the Garden. So, but it's
But
just
you make
more
it
of
to
a money and time thing more than anything.
Yeah,
you know?
but you make it to 2, and right now with a 4-year-old, that's a lot. That's a
that's
lot.
bedtime most times. So.
Yeah, and you can't take a 4-year-old yet. They're just not. When I took my son and daughter to a Tennessee ball game. Luckily, I took them to a game I thought we would win.
Yep.
I think it was like Utah State. By the way, we lost. But at the end of the day, I could only go because we only go for like 1 quarter. Now I could take my son. My daughter's older. She's not going to go. But I know the feeling. All right, we're going to talk now a little bit more detailed. The money spent per team. How much money do you think you spend per year on the Celtics? Tickets, merch, travel.
Couple grand.
Yeah, that's very fair. Game day ritual. What's your game day ritual?
All right, I got to get my jersey on. I have a personalized Noll Senior 23 jersey, so I got to get that on. I got to get my dog tags. Now, if I'm going as Rick Romone, that's a different story altogether. Then I had to smuggle my microphone in. I don't know if you could see it, but
I love it. I love it.
So I smuggled that at the Caitlin Clark game, which was fun. So it all depends. Am I going as Matt or Rick? But if I'm Matt, I need my personalized jersey. If I'm Rick, I'm getting dressed up to the nines. So.
All right, the next question, I think you're going to ace it. I don't know many fans are going to be able to top this one, but the furthest you've traveled to come to a game, do you know the distance from Jordan? I don't know the distance, but that's a long way.
The world, yeah. So that half, and I guess you know what I mean. You can't really, I don't know. So yeah, that much.
It's half the world. All right, here's another one. The number of players that are currently on the team that you can state within 60 seconds. How many think you could do?
Honestly, not as many as I should be able to, but we can give it a try if you want. Shoot, you make me.
Let's go.
Down.
60 seconds. Let's go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
All right. Well, we got Jaylen Brown. We got Derek White. We got Jason Tatum. We got Peyton Pritchard. We got Neemias Queta. We got Sam Hauser. We got Luka Garza. We got Hugo Gonzalez.
20 seconds.
We got Jordan Walsh. We got Baylor Scheiberman.
Halfway there.
We got who the hell's the other tall white dude? We got Xavier Tillman.
10.
Derek White.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You crushed it though. I got to give you credit. I mean, you kept going there for about a good 45 seconds. I mean, Rick, consider that super fan. As a Tennessee fan, as I've told other guests before, I can't even name one. You know why? Because the team changes every year. So if you ask me the question, tell me your current team. I don't know. They're all in the transfer portal. But next year, as soon as they start, I'll be ready to compete. All right, one final question for you today, Rick Romone. As your story keeps unfolding, what do you hope people say Rick Romone built through sports and community?
I don't build my sports and community. Just being a good person. Just being a good person. Bring that good, positive people energy, whether you're with us or not. That's what we want. That's what we're looking for. We want to make you smile. We want you to be happy. We want you to say, man, I've been waiting and looking for something like this for so long. I want people to say, I've always wanted to do this and I never knew how. Thank you. So if you can bring that type of energy to us, we can give you that platform and that opportunity. So again, I know, people get into this for the fame and the riches and all that. But if you're looking to just get into something where you can join a bunch of people and have an opportunity to talk, and then maybe off screen you got some things going on and you got a bunch of people that you can rely on as well, we would love to have you over at Bake and Shake, and that's what we're trying to build and do.
I love it. Matt's story, a.k.a. Rick Romone, isn't about a microphone or a logo. It's about a life of service that found a second mission. From Berlin to the desert, from the classroom to the Celtics parquet floor, from heartbreak to brotherhood, basketball became the bridge. This is the Superfan Diaries. I'm J.R. Greene. Follow the show, nominate your favorite fan, and remember, if you make one person smile today, you've had a great day. Make them laugh, even better. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.